After living in China for over 10 years, I realized that we need to do big sacrifices in order to achieve the dream of study Chinese in China. I was a student in China for almost 5 or 6 years, and therefore I'm gonna explain you in this video which were the hardest and biggest sacrifices I did in order to achieve my dream of being graduated from a Chinese university. First of all, my name is Mar. I'm from Mexico. At this very moment, I'm in the city of Uruapan. I'm based in Guadalajara, usually. And the first sacrifice that I did was, and that most of you have to do in order to achieve this goal, dream, sacrifice to see your family, siblings, parents, uncles, grandma. Right now, I'm in my grandma's home. She's gone already. It's gonna be 2 months ago that she left this world. And it's just very hard to say that when I was a student almost 20 years ago, when I was 21 years old, I'm 37 at this very moment, I was just coming to Mexico once a year, and I'll be staying here maybe for like 1 month to 1 month and a half or something like that. So in that time, I will be visiting my main city, Guadalajara, and sometimes I will come over here to Uruapan. Most of the cases, I will see grandma because her birthday happened to be in August. So I will visit during the summertime because the summertime somehow we had the biggest chance to come from China. Why is that I didn't come during Christmas or New Year's Eve? It's because it was just very annoying that Chinese do not celebrate. With all respect, it's not annoying that they don't celebrate, but for us that do celebrate, it was annoying that there were some final exams during that same day, even 24th, 25th of December. We have final exams at the university, and it was impossible to be leaving before or just a few days after. School would be over around January 8th, January 10th. So New Year's Eve was also one of the dates that I could not be missing when I was studying in the uni. And somehow it was a very big sacrifice to not be part of the festivities here with my family during Christmas, during New Year's Eve. Okay, it's great when you make new friends abroad and you can hang out with them and go to New Year's Eve together to celebrate either in Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Beijing, where I was. But, time passes. I was 21 years old, 22, 23. Just year by year, grandma was getting older. I was not here with the whole family. And yeah, now that she's not here and that all this time passed by, just because I was wanting to achieve that dream of graduating from Shenzhen Uni or graduating from whichever university in China that you are in, you get to understand that these holidays are not your holidays anymore because they are not giving holidays there. And it's usually normal working days, normal like school time. It's just like another day. So I remember many days we have like exams on the 25th, and it was just really not pleasant. But that was one of the biggest sacrifices that I had to do, to be living and studying in China, to be apart from my family. There's a big distance between Mexico and China, and they had to pay a big fee in order to purchase a plane ticket as well as to prepare for the visa and all these things. It's not just like, oh, I'm studying, let's say, in LA or in New York City or somewhere around the USA, just a 3-hour plane ticket, which cost about maybe $200 compared to we need to purchase a ticket that goes from Mexico to maybe Hong Kong and Hong Kong to Shenzhen. Mexico, LA, Shenzhen or Hong Kong. So the price is higher, and not all the family can come over to visit you. And the distance is just long. Some people are not willing to fly that long. Some people are not willing to go abroad. Some people are not willing to pay the price. Some people are not willing to make all the hassle of, getting a visa in order to be visiting China. So in those years, I saw very few times, my relatives. I would just meet them whenever I was here during that month of summer. Afterwards, I graduated from the uni. And finally, I was able to come over when it was like... I still decided to come during summer because during like Christmas and New Year's Eve, I will most of the times invite mom to come over and we will spend the Christmas and New Year's there, since my sisters were as well with me in Shenzhen. And we have like a little small family gathering and we'll go to Hong Kong and celebrate there. Who else here do love to celebrate Christmas in Hong Kong? Raise your hand. Anyways, that is one of the biggest sacrifices that you have to do in order to go to China and study Chinese, being apart from your family. I was just 21 years old. I was living with my parents, and it was somehow hard that I missed so many years of, relation with my aunties, cousins, grandma, parents, in order to achieve that dream of mine. The second one is to have a pet. Usually it will be like a dog, a cat. I'm not very sure, I don't want to be disrespectful, but if you have a fish, maybe someone still can take care of it, and the fish doesn't get that in touch with you as the dog or the cat. At least, as far as I know, a dog is very attached to someone. I'm saying this because my sister married an Australian guy and now is living in Australia. And she left this little chihuahua, and that chihuahua always was waiting for her to come back. And she didn't because COVID happened. And somehow she was gone, 2020. Luckily, I was in Mexico already, and I took very good care of her. And that was the time when I fell in love with being a dog mom and having a pet to take care of, especially these small little chihuahuas. So I just saw and experienced how hard it can be for a pet to feel the abandonment, because he or she doesn't really know, do not really understand what is happening. They just know that you're gone, and when are you coming back? They never know. So they just feel somehow, it feels like they're in a state of sadness until you're back. And that happened to that little chihuahua until I took good care of her and I became the adopted mom, second mom. Yeah. So after that I got Rosie, and now I'm a very proud dog mom. And I just feel it's gonna be very hard for me to, or it's not gonna be, it will be very hard for me to abandon her or to just leave her at her luck, because I want to purchase a dream of just living in China. I don't believe at this stage of my life I would like to abandon her, and therefore previous to that I didn't have a pet during my life in China. I know that a lot of foreigners do have some kind of pet, dog, cat, to bring them company. I was not willing to do so because I was traveling all around China. You guys must know by now. You can check my playlist and you can understand that I was here and there, and it will be very ungrateful to just have a pet and leave her or leave it, somewhere or with someone, because I was not able to take care of it, her, him, the whole time when I was traveling. And therefore I didn't got a pet, but now that I have one, I am very attached to it, and I think it will not be an easy decision for me to take to go abroad and not being able to take her. So in that case, I would like to travel and move elsewhere, yes, but as long as I can take her with me, because I'm not the kind of person that will just finish the relation and abandon her. So I believe it's also a big sacrifice that you have to make, whether you have a pet now and you have to leave it in order to go to China to study Chinese and pursue your dream, or you want to have a pet there, but you know that, let's say in my case, I was living in a dorm for 5 or 6 years. I was not able to have one pet inside the dorm. I mean, I could hide it for a while, but I was going to be kicked out sooner or later. So therefore, I had to sacrifice to have a pet during my studying years there. And also after that, because I was traveling and working, I was always out. Like seriously, I loved to go to places, and I thought it wouldn't be that responsible just to own a pet for the sake of company and being just able to come back home at night and have some time together, and during the day he or she or it will be just lonely. So it's a big sacrifice for those of you that have left to China and somehow did the sacrifice to leave your pet behind. I really admire you, because I cannot judge. It's just something really respectable, as you also have dreams, but things happen, and maybe some of you didn't have enough time with your pet after that, and your pet now is not here anymore. So that is something really hard to process. The third one is that I had to sacrifice my privacy because I was living in a dorm with a roomie, and I had two roomies when I was living in Beijing, because first I was studying in BLCU, Beijing Language and Cultural University, and the first girl was from Thailand and the second was from Kazakhstan, and somehow the room was quite small for us to be living there. I stayed there almost a year and a half, almost 2 years, and somehow it was not very pleasant to not have my privacy. I was not able to listen my music loud there. I mean, not that loud, but just like my music, because I was always aware that there was this other person next to me that perhaps wouldn't be that, welcoming of whatever it was that my music taste was, and always sharing the toilet with her. And if she was taking that long in the shower, then I have to go in the shower, etc. So somehow you have to sacrifice your privacy if you are going to China and are willing, or are just left with the choice of living with a roommate. That was not easy, because in Mexico I had my own room previous to leaving to China. And yeah, so that it can be a big nightmare, especially if you and your roomie do not get along well, right? It all depends, but even if you get along well, there is always this feeling of, I want to be by myself at the room. The two roommates that I had, by the way, both of them never quite left the room. They both were addicted to watching some serials or some movies in the PC. They had their own laptops and they were always in the room. So it was quite, on my nerves. However, they were very good girls, and yeah, I'd sacrifice that too. What about you guys? What do you think about roommates? Let me know your stories down below in the comments. I had to sacrifice too, number 4, my friendships in Mexico, the previous ones that I have when I was studying my college bachelor's degree in Tec de Monterrey. I started studying university for a year and a half. I almost finished 2 years when I decided to leave, and of course I had some friends at that point, and I just had to sacrifice them, because going that far away, even if you at that time there was not WhatsApp or nowadays, and even if it was nowadays, still somehow the connection will be lost with time and with distance and with being immersed in a very different cultural environment. So we will be living 2 different lives, and nonetheless he or she will be commenting about the gossip that is happening in Mexico. That was not even of my concern anymore, because I was living some different experiences there. So friendships is something that you have to sacrifice whenever you're moving from country to country, especially me, that I moved a few times during my life. This thing about friendships, sometimes it hits hard in a way that you cannot make real connections, or even if you do make real connections, once you leave, even the connection's still there for a few months, a few years. If you're not back, it's quite gone. So that's hard. Number 5, it's the relationship I had with a boyfriend that I was dating at that time. He was my classmate in the University Tec de Monterrey, Guadalajara, And we were dating. He was a very nice guy, very hardworking. We were studying the same major. Somehow I was really having the time of my life with him. We will be waking up at 5 a.m. We will be going out at 5 a.m. We will go make some exercise. We will be going, having breakfast together, going to the university together, everything we did together, and it was very pleasant. He also somehow went to China to visit me like 2 times, but once again the connection was lost because the distance, the environment, and somehow I was quite curious about meeting new people over there. I was young, I mean, we were young, but like around 20, 21. I know that maybe at this age some people do get married, but I believe he was not the one for me. Nonetheless, it's something you have to sacrifice in order to like go to China. Whether you are having a relationship right now, you have to leave, or maybe you can take him or her with you. But if it's not on her dreams or plans, maybe she or him will not be having a time when in China. I happen to experience so many times that friends of mine taking their partners with them to China wouldn't be that amused, or wouldn't be having a great time there. And sometimes they will be splitting up once in China. One of them will be just coming back to Mexico or going to their country. So you have to sacrifice either leaving your partner behind, or if you are the partner, you have to sacrifice going to China, although you do not want to go to China or it's not in your plans, but you sacrifice leaving your country because following that person that is crazy enough to go to China. Or if you are just liking somebody so much and you know that you have a chance, but you want to go to China to achieve your dream, sacrifice the possibility of what if it worked out and me and him could get married, have children, live here forever, happily ever after. You have to crush that idea of not even starting a relationship with somebody you like over there because you're leaving, and that is something not very pleasant, especially if you're 20. So of course nowadays maybe it'll be different because I'm over 30, and if I get to meet someone mature enough to talk about plans, moving there, you know, it's fine as long as I can take my chihuahua, of course. But back then I was just 21 and everything seemed so exciting. Number 6, the idea of graduating from my previous university and getting a job safely, as well as a good salary or high salary, because I was gonna be coming out from this very well recognized university, which is called Tec de Monterrey. My campus was Guadalajara. It's a university, or it's a college that it's all over Mexico and is well known, not just in Mexico but also all around the world. So I've heard that employees are very happy to employ people coming out from this university because they have very high standards in education, and we are very well educated or well trained in whatever is that our field is. So the idea of having a safe job after graduating from that uni, it was a sacrifice too, and I had just to bet on an idea that somehow somewhere in China my life would be even better. And that was just a bet itself, like what will happen, I'm not sure. After I graduate from a Chinese university, what kind of job or what kind of like, how will I get my cost of living or my income? I just decided it was worth like trying, going there. It was just too exciting to avoid going and to just I accepted the mission, I accepted the journey, I accepted the challenge. So many of my classmates wouldn't even dare to think like I will go abroad to the other side of the world, specifically China, and I will lose the 2 years that I've done here in the university because I'm just left with 2 more years. No way I'm gonna risk what I've done, and no way I'm gonna be risking whatever is that, or I'm not gonna be like willing to risk anything in order to not safely have something there waiting for me, which was my case and a lot of the cases of anyone traveling or moving to China. studying their majors and graduating from there, some of us do not have safe paths after that. Like, you cannot just get a job easily, no matter which was your major. Usually there's a lot of entrepreneurs there, and some of them, they go back to their countries and also develop their careers there. So somehow it's a very unsafe path to take, but very exciting, and I love excitement, and I do want to move elsewhere too. It's not like I want to be staying here. Some people asked me personally, would you like to live elsewhere? I'm like, yeah, I would like to live elsewhere because I love challenge, I love new adventures. I'm just loving exotic something else that I mean, something different. But the idea of not having a safe path is something you have to sacrifice in order to pursue your education in China, and comes what may. How is it called? I mean, whatever is that gonna come, it's gonna come, because I'm gonna do my best at my uni, right? Number 7, I have to sacrifice my comfort zone and my commodities here. I don't think it's called commodities. It's like comfort zone. First of all, I was living at my parents' house in Guadalajara, and we did have like a garden, beautiful skies. I was driving a car to my uni at that time. So I had a car, I have a roof, a beautiful house. I was comfortable living in my one very big bedroom. And I was going to the gym. My gym was very nearby, was beautiful, was very huge. Somehow I felt and lived very comfortably, and I had to sacrifice all that in order to go to China and discover a new life from zero, and be excited from the unknown, and be believing that somehow there will be something better than what I was already experiencing. Otherwise, of course, you would not be living anything just to risk it over something worse. And this is what happens with us, the believers, the ones that have faith, the ones that are adventurous enough to go all around the other side of the world to discover something better for us, because we have in our hearts that something better is expecting us, something better is awaiting us, something better is to be discovered. And all these sacrifices aren't worth taking because of that something. Yeah, it sounds a little bit crazy. Maybe we are very big risk takers. Yeah, I love it. Number 8, it's just like time. I had to sacrifice time myself, because I was already like half the way my major, and there were only 2 years left to finish and graduate from Mexico. So there was a big sacrifice from time, because I had to start from zero. When I arrived to BLCU, in Beijing, the Language and Cultural University, they asked me to start studying Chinese. And I previously was studying Chinese in Mexico for 2 years during the university. I was in extracurricular classes, and I was studying for like 2 hours for like 3 or 4 days every week. And them asking me to start from zero was like a big surprise and sacrifice, that I had to start from zero. Like, I had to study a full year of Chinese in order to be enrolled in a major after that. So that means somehow that my 2 years were gone in Mexico, and also even my Chinese studies were somehow delayed, erased, because my Chinese proficiency wasn't that good to avoid the 1 year full-time Chinese studies in order to be enrolled as a major student afterwards in the uni. So the sacrifice of time was huge, guys. I graduated from Shenzhen University at 27 years old. I know that might sound a little bit late. I am 37 right now, so that means I just graduated from uni 10 years ago. I'm fresh, I'm new. Yeah, compared to other colleagues or friends like of mine, if they're 37 at this moment, they graduated from uni almost like it's not 10 years ago, 15 years ago or something like that. So it took me a long time to graduate from uni, and that was a very big sacrifice, you know, to see all my other acquaintances, friends, you know, people around my age already working, already having positions, and me no, being living in the dorm, just there and on the race to graduation. But that was what it took me, and I really wanted to achieve that goal. So the time is a big sacrifice, especially I'm a woman, especially I'm 37 now, especially I decided to stay in China for that long and didn't end up marrying someone perhaps in Mexico. Previous to that, I did have some many offers. I believe somehow I was beautiful to their eyes, and people, I mean, I was liked by men, and I did have a lot of pursuers or suitors previous to leaving to China. Of course, during my China time, I did have also some, you know, admirers, but no one really, I don't know how to explain it. This is another subject. However, I was not married during all that time, and as a woman, I believe time is a big sacrifice. So I did that sacrifice to pursue my major in China, and afterwards my career in China. I'm not in China anymore, and I would like to, meet someone and have beautiful adventures together all around the world. No more sacrifices. So that's it for now. Give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as to contact me if you have any needs regarding business with China, or support me in the links down below. Thanks a lot for watching.